Unfortunately, the wrestling world, we did lose Hulk Hogan, a
Yeah.
true wrestling icon, larger than life. Um, so what I want to ask you, mate, just because I know you had a lot of Hogan merchandise, and you still do,
Yeah.
but tell me some of your personal favorite Hulk Hogan memorabilia.
Oh man, there's so much good stuff, right? I think for me, there's two that come to mind as like iconic, right? That
Yeah,
first LJN, like
yeah,
it's just, is it the best Hogan figure? It's not even a top 10 in terms of like design and like how it looks and the likeness. But in terms of nostalgia and what it represents in the wrestling world, it is definitely a top figure, right? It's an iconic figure. Everybody
mm,
had that, you know? Another one would be Hasbro Series 1. I loved that figure. The Gorilla Press Slam, the Hulk Rules shirt. Like, it was just, to me, that was, I was born in 1988. So that's the Hogan that I grew up on idolizing. That's the Hogan that got me to say my prayers, eat my vitamins. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Um, so those are iconic right there. Um, I also personally I love, even though it's to me it's not a definitive Hulk Hogan, the mail away Hasbro. It's one of
Mm.
my favorites. I think it's just an awesome thing.
Something
Plus, I mean,
yeah.
I'm such a Hasbro guy. I love the 12-inch talking figure too.
I had the Warrior one, but never had the Hogan one.
Yeah, see what's funny is I only had the Warrior one too growing up. I never had the Hogan one. Because in my area, I'm from like the Philadelphia area, which is a very big wrestling area.
Hmm.
So as a collector, it's actually pretty difficult to track things down, like my whole life, because there's so many people that are wrestling fans here that are, you're competing with to find these things. So I never found that when I was a kid. I never got it, so I settled for the Warrior. But as an adult, right? That's the perks of being an adult. Getting adult money is like, oh, now the things that I didn't have and I
I
wanted,
could buy
now
what
I
I
can.
want. Yeah.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, so that was cool. Now, I'd be remiss to not mention Mattel. Mattel is making the best wrestling figures in history, and I don't think anybody could really dispute that in terms of likeness, quality, abundance.
Just the detail, mate, honestly, and the scale of the figures. Oh,
Yes, and
they're
and
amazing.
what and what you can do with them. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I just got the greatest hits Ultimate Edition Hogan, and you can literally pose these figures in very human lifelike poses, and that's what makes him so great. So all the Ultimate Hogans are just exceptional. But I mean, you're talking about a guy who, him and John Cena probably have the most wrestling figures. Period.
Yeah.
They're probably neck and neck. It's hard to pick the best, but I mean, there's been such good WCW ones. He's even had good TNA figures. I mean, the guy has had
Yeah.
he's had a hell of a wrestling figure career. You know what I mean? And listen, I get it. There's a lot of controversy surrounding this man at the
Yeah.
later end of his life, right? Because I get comments about stuff. I always say this to people, and it's hard for people to grasp. I am a bigger wrestling figure fan than I am a wrestling fan at this point in my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think sometimes your wrestling fandom, you never grow out of it, but it kind of gets trapped in that golden era for you. Maybe not the golden era of wrestling, but for me, the golden era would be the Attitude Era, NWO, DX on WWF. You know what I mean? Stone Cold Steve Austin running the
Running that
airways.
rules. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm trapped. My fandom is trapped there, but my wrestling figure fandom never stopped. I still watch the product, but I don't think that I'll ever have that love and that adoration for the product as I did when I was a kid. And I truly think that's with everybody, where not everybody just addresses it that way. Because we all have our opinions of what was the best era of wrestling, and very rarely does somebody say it's something
The
outside
new
of their childhood.
generation.
Yeah,
I'll
they
defend that era, by the way. I don't give a shit what anyone says.
oh, it's
I
great,
love
it's
it, mate.
great, but it's rarely outside of someone's childhood.
Yeah.
Anytime you talk to somebody, like it depends on where you grew up, but like you just wrestling was magical when you were a kid, right? It
Yeah.
was. It was. It was. These were real life superheroes on the screen, and that's what Hulk Hogan was. He was a superhero. Now, whether he lived by the things that he preached, that's another conversation. But the fact of the matter is that the way that I look at it is this man, he preached, say your prayers, take your vitamins. You know what I mean? And a lot of us took that to heart. And he did create good lifestyles for so many people indirectly, because we were like, wow, like Hulk Hogan, like, you know, he's the real American, he does this. Now, did we find out that he didn't really live by those things? Of course. But we love the character, right? That's why we call him Hulk Hogan. We don't refer to him as Terry Bollea, you know, and I think that's very important. Clearly, Terry Bollea was a flawed person, as most people are. But Hulk Hogan, the character, I mean, up until the NWO, was not a flawed character, right? He was everything right.
I don't know. He did fuck over Sid in the Royal Rumble '92.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's funny.
But I know you mean though, mate. I know exactly.
Yeah, like it's you got to separate the character, because that's what we love.
Yeah.
If he never played Hulk Hogan and he was just Terry Bollea who acted in Mr. Nanny, would he have the presence in pop culture that he does? Of course not.
It was the first Hogan film as a kid. Not Suburban Commando. I love that. I actually watched that recently. But Mr. Nanny, as a kid, probably watched it 15, 20 times on VHS.
Listen, I loved it too, but did we love it because it was like, oh, it's Hulk Hogan? Like, you know what I mean? If it was, you know what I mean? Like, it was funny. Like, you know, when they like shock him and stuff and his hair is all that. It's like so cool. But rest in peace to the Hulkster, man.